First item on the agenda is a call to order and accessibility statement. So welcome everybody to the June 20th meeting of the Old Colony MPO meeting. I'll read the accessibility statement in Title 6 non-discrimination statement. This meeting is accessible to people with disabilities. Microphones or telephones will be used by all speakers. If you would like this accommodation, please contact Mary Waldron at 508-583-1833. And then the notice of non-discrimination rights and protection to beneficiaries with regard to the federal Title VI non-discrimination protections and the state non-discrimination protections is included on this meeting's agenda and is available on Old Colony Planning Council website at https://oldcolonyplanning.org. Please contact Mary Waldron at 508-583-1833 for more information. Thank you. All right, let's move to the next agenda. I'm Tara.
Roll call.
Okay, we'll do a roll call.
All right. Sorry, I forgot about that. All right, so I didn't forget the roll call. I thought it was on another agenda item. Sorry, I'm a little rusty. So, all right, can we do the roll call? Who's doing it? Charles, is it you or?
Yes, I'll take care of it. So MassDOT Secretary and CEO.
Yeah, Steve Wolf representing MassDOT Secretary and CEO Gina Fiandaca here.
Thank you. MassDOT Administrator.
Pamela Hasner representing MassDOT Administrator Jonathan Gulliver here.
Thank you. City of Brockton, Mayor Sullivan.
Here, representing Mayor Sullivan.
Town of Plymouth, Richard Quintal, Board of
Lee
Selectmen.
Hartman representing Mr. Quintal.
Thank you. West Bridgewater. Chair Anthony Kinahan. Whitman. Vice Chair Dan
Here,
Salvucci.
present.
Brockton Area Transit.
Glenn Geiler here, representing Vice Chair Michael Everett.
Great, thank you. And Old Colony Planning Council.
Mary Waldron representing Acting President Becky Coletta.
All right, I think we're ready for agenda item 2, which is public comment. Are there any members of the public who would like to address the MPO today? All right, seeing none, move to agenda item 3, which are the minutes of May 16th, 2023. Can I get a motion, a second to approve the minutes?
So moved, Dan Salvucci, Whitman.
Is there a second?
Second, Mary Waldron.
Any changes or comments on the minutes?
Look good.
Seeing none, Charlie, you want to read the roll?
Steve Wolfle,
Yes.
Pam Hasner,
Abstain, I was absent.
Kamaya Parkin,
Yes.
Lee Hartman,
Approve.
Dan Salvucci,
Yes.
Glenn Geiler,
Yes.
Mary Waldron.
Yes.
Motion carries.
All right, thank you all for that. Next agenda item is the Brockton Area Transit Authority report. I assume it's you, Glenn. Take it away.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. No report.
Wow, that was quick. Wow. I'm left speechless, Glenn. No, I'm just kidding.
Oh.
All right,
Hard to
That was
do,
great.
hard to do. All right, thank you.
That's a first.
I know. Yeah. Maybe we should have you come more often and leave Mike at home.
Oh, my God.
All right,
right.
we'll move on to agenda item 5. And we all
Thank
know
you.
I would have said that if Mike was here, so he'll get over it. All right, so it looks like we're going to have an update from the Greater Attleboro Taunton Regional Transit Authority, their report. So who is here from GATRA?
Mary Ellen DeFries is unable to attend today, but she provided a report to Old Colony Planning Council before today's meeting. She reported that GATRA is pleased to report that their ridership is continuing to rebound, and they are hoping that the trend will continue. And GATRA is also waiting to see what state funding will be available, which will drive the next steps for their desired service expansion. And Sunday service remains a top priority for any increase in base funding. And that is the report.
All right, thanks, Sean. All right, we'll move on to agenda item 6. District 5, is it just you today? Pam, or is there anyone else with you? Actually,
Sean Handy is with me and he'll be providing the report.
all right, Sean, go ahead.
All right, I'll start off with the section 1As. Project file number 607403, Town of Stoughton. This project is the corridor improvements on Route 38 from 300 feet north of Charles Avenue to Lincoln Street. This project is at 100% design, and the project over under 5 million. Project file number 608279, Town of Stoughton. Intersection improvements and related work at Central Street, Canton Street, and Tosca Drive. This project is at PS&E stage, and is expected to go forward. Project cost 5 million. Fiscal year 2024. Project file number 609052, the City of Brockton. This is an intersection improvements project at Center Street and Plymouth Street. The project is currently at 25%, 75% expected in October of this year, and cost is in the $2 to $3 million range. 2025, Town of Stoughton, again, project file number 613358. This is a corridor improvements on Route 138 from the Canton Town Line to Charles Avenue. This project is phase 2 of the previous project I just described to you, the 607403 project. That 607403 was broken into 2 phases due to right-of-way issues, and this 613358 project file number is phase 2 of it, which will it's at 100% phase because the entire project was designed, and it will be going forward very soon. It's in the $6 million range for cost. Next project file number 607818, City of Brockton. This intersection improvements at Lyman Street, Grove Street, Summer Street, and replacement of the Grove Street Bridge over the Salisbury Plain River. This project is at 25% design. It was a project that had been submitted years ago. This is the most current new 25% submission that we're coming up on. So it's been revamped quite a bit, and the project cost is in the $4 to $5 million range. Next project is project file number 608195, the Town of Easton. This project is for corridor improvements on Route 138, including intersection improvements at Route 138 and Elm Street. This project is currently at the 75% design stage. It is in the $6 to $7 million range for cost. And next, we will go to federal fiscal year 2026. Project file number 609440, the Town of Abington. This is an intersection improvements project at the intersection of Hancock Street and Chestnut Street. So this project is going to be currently identified as going forward as a roundabout design. It's at 25% design stage, and we are waiting on the 75% submission. Cost is in the $5 to $6 million range. Next project file number 606002, Kingston Duxbury. This project is the intersection improvements at Route 3 ramps and Route 3A, Tremont Street. This project is less than 25% complete. However, the scoping meeting was held in January of 23. The total project cost is in the $2 to $3 million range. And next, we will move to federal fiscal year 2027. First project file number 608506, the Town of Hanson. Corridor improvements on Route 14, Makwan Street from the Pembroke Town Line to Indian Head Street and related work. This project is currently at 25% design. This project has been around for a while. It had some issues with subsurface utility exploration requirements. Those issues, water line location, utility location, they're being addressed through the conduction of a subsurface utility exploration process. Next project file number 612525, the town of Abington. Intersection improvements, Randolph Street and Richard A. Fitz Drive at Chestnut Street and Old Randolph Street. This project is at less than 25% complete. It is in the ice, the ice process is being conducted for this intersection, and it is expected to be in the $3 to $4 million range at this time. Next, we will go to federal fiscal year 2028. First project is project file number 612769, the town of Hanover. This project is for corridor improvements on Route 139, Hanover Street at Main Street, Center Street, and Silver Street. This project is less than 25% complete and has been going through the ICE process and is currently under review. Estimated project cost is in the vicinity of $6 to $7 million. Next project file number 612262, City of Brockton. This is an intersection improvements project at the intersection of Route 123, Pearl Street, and Stonehill Street. This project is also less than 25% complete. Will be undergoing the ICE process, and the estimated cost at this time is in the $7 to $8 million range. And that is it for the federal fiscal year 2028. There are additional 2051 projects not on the tip. If anybody has any specific questions, we can be happy to answer them at this time. Thank you very
All right.
much.
Oh, sorry, Sean. Anyone have any questions for Sean? All right. Yes, Pam.
I have one additional update. I just wanted to make sure people didn't have any questions. This will be my last Old Colony MPO in my official capacity. I am retiring in July.
Oh, my God.
First,
Pam, I was
first-
going to do that other
Wow.
business.
I'm
What's wrong with
sorry.
you? I was going to have a big speech and everything.
Oh, okay, I jumped the gun.
Jump the shark, huh?
Congratulations.
I'll
All
let
right,
you
I'll-
speak.
No, go ahead, Pam. I was going to bring it up, but go ahead.
No, that's about it. I have 39 years with DOT and DPW and Mass Highway, and not necessarily in that order. And it's really been a pleasure working with all of you, and you all do great work. And you know, we've put out a lot of fantastic projects together, so it's really been a pleasure. Sorry, I jumped the gun, Steve. I'm
That's all
sorry.
right. Pam texted me last week, so I was cheating. I knew it, but on behalf of everyone, obviously, Pam, I kind of texted you last week, but you'll be very much missed by all of us here. So while we're doing this now, before we get into the real business, why don't we actually take a few moments in case anyone wants to say anything to Pam before she leaves you all.
Yeah, I'll jump in. And Pam, it's been wonderful working with you. If I'm not mistaken, you were an intern with the city of Brockton years ago.
All right, I wouldn't have done that to you, Pam. Bring it back, all right, Jesus, Charlie.
Some people might not have been born, but
But Howard
But
Newton
yes.
is still working for City Hall, and
Oh my
he's
goodness.
still there. So, but it's been a true joy, and just working on project development, and as you said, just coming up with implementable projects and really making a difference by the work that we do. It's been great working with you, and you've been a true professional, and even how you onboard existing team members at District 5. You all have a wonderful team there, and I think goes back to your leadership styles, and you will be missed, but we are happy for you as you start a new chapter of your journey.
thank you, Charlie.
So Pam, Lee Hartman. I started with OCPC 37 years ago, so I'm right around where you are. I can't wait, but I'm a little farther away than you, but not much.
Yeah, well, catch me and we'll go kayaking or something in a couple of years.
Sounds good.
Pam, and if I can, just on behalf of all of the delegates and alternates of the Old Colony Planning Council, having been in this position since only 2019, but I've known and your name and reputation certainly preceded you, me coming in. But, words like breaking the glass ceiling and trailblazer, women in transportation still is a very, it's not as prevalent as we'd all like to see it, but certainly what you have done, and not only just reputation for women in transportation, but certainly for District 5 and the reputation of Mass DOT, your name is said, and it's like the E.F. Hutton, right? You just listen to what gets said, and your guidance and certainly your way of dealing with sometimes very complex situation. You've made it easy for both the municipality, Old Colony Planning Council, but also for all involved. And you certainly will be missed. You have big shoes to fill, but we are all just grateful for you and wish you only the best.
Thank you, Mary. I really appreciate that. Like I said, it's been a pleasure. We've done some really rewarding, very important work. It's improved the lives of so many people. And
Hey,
it's
Pam,
been
this
a
is Bill Roth.
partnership. Yep.
Hey,
Sorry.
Pam, this is Bill Roth. It's been great working with you. Obviously, I've been Stoughton now, but 20 some odd years, Fairhaven, Fall River, and Taunton. And of course, unlike anyone else, a lot of time with our kids on the swim team.
Right. Right.
And I'm sure I will see you out on the Fairhaven Mattapoisett bike path. Congratulations on your retirement.
Thanks, Bill.
Yeah, Dan Salvucci, Whitman. Pam, I'm gonna miss sitting beside you when we had in-house meetings. Very professional. Whenever I had a question, you always had the right answer. I guess I'm the youngster, only being on Old Colony for what, 17, 18 years now, representing the town of Whitman. But anyways, good luck, and I hope that you really enjoy your retirement.
Thanks, Dan.
Yeah.
Appreciate it.
All
Yeah,
right.
I'd like to say, I just like to say thank you, Pam. You made our job so much easier at Old Colony,
Here I am.
and
Wow, look at that.
it's really been a partnership, and I think that it's a good example to set for someone coming behind you, because it's been a partnership between the Mass DOT and Old Colony Planning Council, as far as I'm concerned, and you made our job a lot easier. So, wishing you the best.
Thanks, Ray. No, you've done some great studies that we've and other staff at Old Colony, and we've really enjoyed going over them with you and developing projects from the studies, which is the way that it's supposed to work.
Yep, absolutely.
So, yeah.
Yep.
Hey, Pam, on this invite thing for the club, you might want to distance yourself. Otherwise, it might be a lawsuit from the Grateful Dead. It's looking like.
I didn't make the
Doing all the
flyer. I do like
conferences.
the Dead. I do like the Dead. Full disclosure. I thought they
Doing
want
all-
to put flowers on it because that's. But no, they had fun with it.
Doing all the conference and the high school video competition, I have to worry about such things. So I'm like, oh my God. All right, anyone else?
I just wanted to thank Pam for all of her leadership and as a mentor to me. Pam took some time last year to let me interview her about her leadership style, and she is just so impressive. And thank you for taking the time to do that for me. And congratulations on your retirement, Pam.
All right, anyone else? All right, Pam, you will be missed. I'll have to have you come to Moving Together, and I'll use you as a draw to get more people to come. How's that?
Well, I won't be presenting this year.
No, I won't make you present. I'll tell Pete to quit it, all right? I'll tell him to knock it off. All right, we're gonna move on to the next agenda item, which is the federal fiscal year 2023 to 2027 tip amendments or adjustments. I believe it's Amendment 4. Bill, take it away.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So, yep, we, once again have another amendment. This is the fourth go around amending, this tip. So we have a few items, being amended in the current tip. So I'll, briefly run through them. So in federal fiscal year 2023, as you can see on your screen, the first one is a highway project. The town of Stoughton, Sean spoke about this project in his update a few minutes ago. So there's been a geographic change of scope in this project where it had originally gone all the way to the Canton Town Line. The project now runs from 300 feet north of Charles Street to Lincoln Street. So in shortening the project cost has decreased where it had been 16 million and change. Now the total project cost is down to about 10.96 billion. So this was advanced constructed over 2023 and 2024. So how this is being handled is the program amount for 2023 is remaining unchanged. So the total project cost is changing. The year one of construction, 2023, stays the same. It's really year two, 2024, where the project cost or the program amount is decreasing by about $6 million. So that's the highway update for 2023 so far. And so good news, the region has been the recipient of 4 5310 grant awards from the Department of Transportation. So 5310 is the Community Transit Grant Program. If you're not familiar with it, it's a discretionary grant the Commonwealth has to provide human service transportation enhancements to RTAs and other providers such as COAs across the Commonwealth. So these awards do have to be programmed into the tip. They do not affect any existing programmed amounts. It's just an addition of funds to the tips, but it does have to go through the amendment process as it is considered new projects. So the first one is these are all van purchases for service expansion or van purchases for vehicle replacements. So the first one is Brockton area ARC. That is in the total amount of $78,000 for the purchase of $78,600 for its purchase of a van. And that is split, the project cost is split over 2 years, 2023, 72,700, and then in 2024, about 5,8600. In next one, Brockton area ARC, again, 121,000 for service expansion, purchase vehicles, and that cost is entirely in 2023, 121,000. The next one, Brockton Area Transit Authority, that is 121,000 for purchase of a replacement type CA vans. Project cost is split over 2 years. 2023 is 96,800, and 2024 24,200. And finally, Brockton Area Transit Authority, 118,000. I'm sorry, 318,000. Yep, 318,000. Didn't want to shortchange on 200,000. That is for the purchase vans for replacement vehicles, and that is 254,400 in 2023 and 63,600 in 2024. So we're going to go to the next page. So this is 2024. So this is just the carryover from 2023. So that highway project, as I mentioned, it does decrease the amount, program in 2024. And then those carryover amounts for the 5310 grant awards for Brockton area transit, Brockton area arc. So I would entertain, I'll ask, I'll answer any questions people have at this time.
So Bill, are we doing these as two separate votes? Because it sounded, the way it read up top was one's amendment, one's adjustment, correct? Or did I do that?
So this is just, at this time, we're only doing amendment 4. There was a pending potential adjustment of Brockton area transit that we may have had, but that's not ready at this time. I think Rail Transit Division is still reviewing that.
So we're just gonna do this as all as one big
Yeah,
amendment?
this is just one
Yes.
amendment. Yep.
All right, okay. All right, so anyone would like to move this amendment number 4 out for public review as presented by Bill?
I'll make that motion, Dan from Whitman. Yes.
Second,
All right, any questions for Bill? Seeing none, Charlie, you want to read the roll?
Steve Wolfle,
Yes.
Pam Hasner,
Yes.
Kamaya Parkin,
yes.
Lee Hartman,
Yes.
Dan Salvucci,
Yes.
Glenn Geiler,
Yes.
and Mary Waldron.
Yes.
Motion carries. Thank you.
Aye. Thank you.
All right. Can bring back the agenda up for a second. Let's see. So now we're on agenda item 8, which is a federal fiscal year 2023 PWP budget reallocation. And who's handling this? Is this you, Charlie?
Yes,
All
I'll
right,
take this
take it away.
one. Thank you. So every time around this time of year in the summer, we take a look at our spending track on the current Unified Planning Work Program and bring to the MPO through a consultation process if we identify the need for some additional funds within existing tasks. So we've looked at our budget and looked at the spend down of all of the tasks across the UPWP and identified 4 tasks that need a little bit more money. And on the flip side, we've identified 4 tasks where we can draw some funds from to put into these other 4 tasks. On the next slide, we have a presentation of the UPWP budget with tasks, and in green, those are the tasks we're proposing to increase in cost, and the ones shaded in red are the ones we're looking to take money from. I note that across all of these budget reallocations that the percent change all is under 25%. So this is technically an adjustment rather than an amendment. And so the first one where we need additional funds is the Transportation Improvement Program. As you heard from my colleague earlier today, heck, as we're going through amendment number 4, there's been some extra legwork. And it's not just actually preparing the TIP document itself, it's actually paying for the legal advertisement. So there's been additional direct costs with regard to the TIP and also additional staff time as well. So we propose to pull some funds out of the Title VI task. As you heard earlier, meetings this year, Sean Bailey completed the cycle of our triannual Title VI report and the annual Title VI reporting. So we're comfortable about reducing the budget on that task. Next slide, please. Going through here, demographic surveillance, as the legwork of the socioeconomic projection committee has been completed and the final projection numbers delivered. We feel comfortable about pulling some money out of this task and putting it into other tasks. Task 2500, that's our management systems task. We identified the need for additional funds in here with regard to our pavement management system and also the operation of our continuing road safety audits. Next slide. Our local highway technical assistance program is also funding road safety audits, and with the wind down of the pandemic, we've seen a resurgence of local technical assistance requests from our member community. So we've spent some extra staff time on local highway technical assistance projects, most recently in Kingston, Duxbury, Halifax. Upcoming, there's one on Plain Street in Stoughton, and then also Hall's Corner in Duxbury. Next task, we're identify a need for a little bit more funds is Route 18 corridor study. Ray and Ko-Chung have been expeditiously working on this, but based on our spending track, we identified the need for some additional funds. And last but not least, performance-based planning. As we've completed the cycle and the endorsements of the PM1, PM2, PM3, and transit state of good repair more in the fall timeframe, and these are folded into the long-range plan. We feel comfortable about extracting some funds out of that task to help fund some of these other ones. Next. And last but not least, we're going to extract some funds out of the transit technical assistance. We feel comfortable doing that. And as you can see on the bottom of this slide, overall task budget changing 14%, so that's well under the 25% threshold. So this is part of our consultation with the MPO. We would look for a question and answer period, and following a successful navigation of that, we would kindly ask for a motion to approve said reallocation, and then following that, we will prepare the MassDOT budget reallocation forms and send those to MassDOT OTP for their review and consideration.
So can I get, so you just, Charlie, you want me to vote for an adjustment? So, right, so I want to, can I get a motion second to do this reallocation / adjustment of the EPWP for federal fiscal year 2023?
Yeah, I'll make that motion, Dan from Whitman.
Mary Waldron, second.
All right,
Okay.
any questions for Charlie?
Good management.
All right, Charlie, I think we need a roll.
Okay, Steve Wolfle,
Yes.
Pam Hasner,
Yes.
Kamaya Parkin,
Yes.
Lee Hartman,
Yes.
Dan Salvucci,
Yes.
Glenn Geiler,
Yes.
Mary Waldron.
Yes.
Thank you. Motion carries.
All right, let's move on to the next agenda item, which is the draft federal fiscal year 2024 UPWP. This is for go over public comments, potential endorsement. Take it away, Charlie.
Yes, thank you, Chair. So the UPWP has completed its public review and comment period, and we're here today to present the public comments and entertain any questions from the MPO and attendees, and then we would kindly ask for a motion to endorse said revised UPWP. So on the next slide, we have a public comment matrix. Raisa Kwame from MassDOT OTP reviewed the draft UPWP and provided the MPO liaison checklist, and to report back to the MPO that staff here has prepared a revised draft UPWP, and that was included with the meeting invite materials, and it's reflective of all the comments that Raisa had provided. Next, we presented the draft UPWP to our Joint Transportation Committee and also the Old Colony Board of Directors on back-to-back days, the OCPC Board on the 31st and the JTC on June 1st. And both entities heard a presentation, and both entities reviewed and approved said draft UPWP. So those were the public comments that we had received.
All right, so I think we're ready, Charlie, for a motion second to endorse, and then any last questions. So can I get a motion a second to endorse federal fiscal year 2024 UPWP?
Yeah, I'll make that motion, Dan from Whitman. Yes, okay, good.
Lee Hartman, Plymouth, second.
All right, any questions for Charlie?
Oh, looks good.
Seeing none, Charlie, can we read the roll?
Yes, Steve Wolfle,
Yes.
Pam Hasner,
Yes.
Kamaya Parkin,
Yes.
Lee Hartman,
Yes.
Dan Salvucci,
Yes.
Glenn Geiler,
Yes.
and Mary Waldron.
Yes.
Thank you. Motion carries.
All right, thank you, Charlie, for both of those items. We'll now move on to agenda item 10, which is an update on the 2050 long-range transportation plan by Bill. Go ahead, Bill.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So as you know, we're currently developing an update to our long-range transportation plan that will have a completed draft released to public review and comment period in the next couple months. But we're here today to give you an update on a few chapters. So I'm going to talk about the profile chapter and environmental chapter, and then my colleague Kyle will talk about the vulnerable roadway users chapter. So the regional profile chapter, with each LRT PICO around, the centerpiece, if you will, of this chapter is the socioeconomic forecasts that are prepared statewide and then trickle down to the regions by a collaborative effort by the University of Massachusetts Donahue Institute and the Metropolitan Area Planning Council. And this is done in committee form. So there's been a committee of each MPO and RPA, along with UMDI and MAPC and MassDOT, meeting monthly for, probably a year and a half now.
Yeah.
So, they go through updates each time, and you come up with these numbers. So these numbers are, they're produced primarily for the purpose of travel demand models, and that the main purpose of that is to do greenhouse gas emissions analysis for projects going forward. So with that caveat, there are other models out there that show different forecasts. So I always like to point that out, that this is just, this is the model that's done by in collaboration with the MPOs in the state and UMDI for travel demand model. So if you just wanted to go to the next page, Sean, okay. So this is these are the population forecasts or projections for the region that came out of this process. I won't go through each community and each year for the sake of time. But big picture, you can see down the bottom, the population for both in the region and the state. The trend is for population to grow steadily, albeit slowly, through 2040, and then begin to decrease. There are various reasons for that. Population aging, other areas of the country having a greater draw for migration than this area, economics. So all this is considered, this is developed using an urban SIMS model. So it takes into consideration land patterns. It also considers migration trends, along with birth rates, death rates, and the movement of different age cohorts. So you can see overall through 2050, the region will experience a modest population increase of about 1.22%, whereas the state overall increases about a little over 3%. There is with both population and employment, there is a urban bias. So a lot of it the projections looking through 2050, the way the model looks at the larger cities like Boston, population and employment growth is kind of gravitated towards the city of Boston and moving out of the regions. And again, various reasons, economics, just personal taste of where people want to expected to want to live, housing availability, that sort of thing. So so I'll go on to employment. So the employment, there's a much greater disparity between what's expected to happen across the state and what's expected to happen in the region. this particular model is forecasting an exodus of jobs from this region. So through 2050, a -3 plus percent decrease, reduction in jobs in the region, whereas statewide, 4+% increase in jobs. And again, just like population, this has an urban bias where it's gravitating towards the larger cities. So keep that in mind. And this is also largely based on planned development. So we went through this process of putting into an online portal, like every potential project that we knew of, and put it in there. So this was largely based on that. I say that because we went through this process where we knew that in some of our towns we have a lot of, maybe not a lot, but we have a bit of developable land in some of our communities, and we know that certainly through 2050 we could see this land developed, but without an actual planned project or known project for that land, the model was having trouble projecting jobs for those. Projecting jobs for those towns, and as well as population for those towns. So that was another challenge that we ran into with this process. I don't know if we necessarily agree with these numbers, but these are the numbers that we'd be using for our travel demand model. Communities are always welcome to use their own numbers for their own internal purposes. So that's the employment and population forecast in this chapter. So the recommendations coming out of the regional profile chapter are recommendations that largely focus on supporting the goals and objectives that had been previously presented to this board a few months ago. So those like supporting economic growth. So in the past we've done work with identifying bottlenecks and hopefully identifying potential projects for reducing bottlenecks, and in doing so, that supports it supports different things. So it supports economic growth, also supports environmental protection, fewer bottlenecks, less greenhouse gas emissions. A priority of the city of Brockton, for example, is increased frequency on the Old Colony commuter rail line. So if that came to fruition, if we got rid of the single track bottleneck and we're able to see increased high frequency service to the region, that could also support job growth and could mitigate any potential job employment loss that this model is showing. So those are the recommendations in this chapter, focused on supporting economic growth, also focused on supporting an aging population. Making sure our infrastructure, for example, is age friendly. That sort of thing. So I'll go to the next page. So now I'll talk briefly about the environmental chapter. So the environmental chapter, the main focus, as you might guess, is the impacts of climate change on regional infrastructure. This is probably the greatest threat to our infrastructure through 2050. We've already seen it, severe heavy rain events, flooding, key roadways, also impacting commuter rail, and with unmitigated climate change, the expectation is, so we'll see higher frequency and greater severity of events such as inland freshwater flooding, coastal storms such as hurricanes and nor'easters, present a great threat to our coastal communities such as Plymouth and Duxbury. We have vulnerable facilities in those towns that we know of. So this is the focus of the environmental chapter, and continuing. So recommendations coming out of this chapter is continuing to support efforts that we've done in the past, such as hazard mitigation plans and identifying high risk infrastructure and developing strategies to protect those facilities. So those are the types of recommendations coming out of the environment chapter, as well as expansion, for example, of electric vehicle charging stations, which helps, at least in the big picture, helps reduce greenhouse gas emissions and again, big picture globally, contributes to reducing the impacts or mitigating the impacts of climate change. So we go to the next page. And it just talks about the next few pages just talk about the impacts of, on the various aspects of our infrastructure. So, the impact on rail, for example. Next page. If you just want to go to that's my update. So if you just want to go to the vulnerable roadway users chapter and let Kyle take it over from here.
All right, before we turn over to Kyle, any questions for Bill? All right, I don't see any questions. Thanks, Bill.
Thank you.
Kyle, why don't you take over?
All right, thank you. I'm just going to highlight a few items within the vulnerable road user chapter. First, I'm just going to give a highlight of the act to reduce traffic fatalities, and then I'll talk about some interregional bicycle connections. And then finally, I'll go over some of the recommendations from the chapter. So an act to reduce traffic fatalities that was passed on January 2nd of this year. And so this bill, it defines what a vulnerable road user is, it includes people walking and biking, roadside workers, people using wheelchairs, scooters, skateboards, roller skates, etc. And in regards to safe passing, the bill requires safe passing distance to be 4 feet. Massachusetts is one of the last states to pass a safe passing distance. So this will be in line with other states in terms of roadway safety. Next component is traffic safety devices. This requires state contracted trucks to be required to have equipped safety side guards, mirrors, and backup cameras to reduce fatalities of walkers and bikers. Safer speed limits. This clarifies the process for municipalities to alter speed limits in thickly settled areas from 30 down to 25. And as far as crash reporting, this will improve statewide data collection surrounding vulnerable road user crashes. Rear red light requirement. This just requires bikes to have a red light at night on the back of the bike. And then going into interregional bicycle connections. We coordinated with Serpent and other RPAs to narrow down some connections to better connect bicycles to other regions. So just going through those connections to the west, we have Route 106 connecting Easton and Mansfield. Bay Road connecting Easton and Sharon, and then Route 27 Stoughton connecting Stoughton and Sharon. Connections to the south, we have a few. We have Route 138, Easton to Raynham, Route 105 Halifax to Middleborough, Route 18 Bridgewater to Middleborough. And then we could utilize the South Coast Rail Phase 2 rail right-of-way to the south. Also to the south, State Road, Route 3A. That's part of the Clare Salt and Stall Bikeway. And then Herring Pond Road, connecting Plymouth to Bourne, was also specified. And then connections to the north, we also have the South Coast Rail Phase 2 again here. Route 28, which is also part of the Clare Salt and Stall Bikeway. And then finally, Route 139, connecting Stoughton and Randolph. Just going over some recommendations that came from the chapter. Some livability recommendations, just continued support of MassDOT's Complete Streets design element in all roadway projects. Identify, designate, and implement additional bicycle paths and routes to be used for both commuting and recreation. And that kind of goes back to the interregional routes as well. Some safety recommendation, promote and increase participation in Safe Routes to School program in the region. Capacity and efficiency recommendation, continue to implement bicycle level of service rankings on state numbered routes and local roadways in the region. And finally, a planning and policy recommendation, coordinate efforts to improve bicycle facilities with surrounding municipalities. And this as well goes back to the interregional connections. And if anybody has any questions, that sums up the vulnerable user chapter.
All right, anyone have any questions for Kyle? All right, thank you, Kyle. Let's move on to the next agenda item, which is agenda item 11, administrative matters of the business, date and time of next meeting. Charlie?
Thank you, Chair. So we have one administrative announcement here, and it's that there will be a combined notice of funding opportunity coming out soon. So be on the lookout online and through your emails for the Reconnecting Communities pilot and neighborhood access and equity programs. It's actually going to be all in one NOFO. RCP was already out in round 1 last year, and the neighborhood access and equity program, that's a new one, and that was actually being brought to us by the Inflation Reduction Act. So this is just a heads up, and if Sean, if you could just pan through here slowly, here's just some information on what you'll see in the NOFO and what these programs are about. Next slide. And here's a crosswalk of, grant types, objectives, and different types of funding. So, a lot of money is going to be out in the street soon for these discretionary grant opportunities. Next slide. And I believe we covered this. Unless anybody has additional comments they'd like to make, or see if Pam's changed her mind.
All right, I don't think that's happening.
Yeah.
So.
Okay, next slide. And here's an important information. We will be having an MPO meeting in July 18th at 10 o'clock. I note a person on our call who should introduce is Josh Barber. He's a new community planner for Federal Highway Administration, and Josh will be part of a team that's conducting the Old Colony MPO Transportation Planning Certification Review. It's ongoing now. There was already the advanced document provision, responses to advanced questions, and we'll be having a day-long on-site meeting on July 11th, and there will be a public participation opportunity on the July 18th MPO agenda. So that's an important meeting if you all can make it. And then save the date for August 15th and September 19th as well, please.
My calendar.
And that's what we have for administrative updates for the MPO today.
And just Charlie, to underscore that, obviously, as you said, we have some important documents still to get through the summer. So try to to please make sure you can make these meetings. I have one other item of other business, which is we sent out the save the date for Moving Together. It's October 4th. And please note, it's a change of venue. We're moving to the Sheraton Copley, so registration should be opening soon. All right, do we have anything else, Charlie, on this item? I think we're done, right? Just an adjournment?
Yes, that's all we have. Thank you.
All right, can I get a motion and a second to adjourn on this last meeting that Pam Hasner will be at?
So moved, Dan. from
I'll
Whitman.
second.
There you
There
go.
you
All in
go.
favor,
What a-
say aye.
A round of
All
applause
right.
for Pam.
Happy
Yay.
retirement, Pam.
Yeah.
Well, best
Thanks,
to
Pam.
all of you.
Congrats. All right,
Congrats.
everyone, everyone enjoy your 4th of July. We'll see you in July and please be safe. Thank you, everybody.
Great. Thank
Thank
you,
you.
everybody.
Thank you.
Say-
Bye.
Thank you.